So when you start making videos on YouTube, it's an amazing thing that happens. Sometimes when you talk about one subject, you are naturally led to another subject or something that's similar but a different topic. And there's like a chain reaction in a good way. Well, just recently talking about, about if you won a lot of money, what would you do? Or in terms of, we were talking about the hidden millionaire next door or the wizard prepper. But in this particular, dialogue, I like to maybe just talk about if you did come across a lot of money. Of course, I'd say the vast majority of us just dream of this kind of thing. And I've always kind of wondered myself what would happen if I was ever put in that situation. What would I really do with it? I guess I start postulating it, over the last few hours. And I can't say that I've fully outlined a massive sketch of what I would really do, but just in a very generic form, because I would definitely want you to chime in the comment section and just lay out what you would do. Feel free to be as detailed as possible or do a video response. I'd be very appreciative. But what I like to say here is that, let's just say though that the guidelines is that you won, and this is after tax, 10 million, because it's still a very good amount of money. I mean, it's very substantial. I have to say that I kind of was trying to figure out what I would do with it in terms of breaking it up, because obviously you wouldn't just take the whole amount and just do one thing with it. You'd probably want to do a whole bunch of little things or a variety of things. So this is what I came up with. Okay, so I thought, okay, of the 10 million after tax, so this is all real money, I would take 1 million and set it aside into an investment that was extremely diversified. It would be all kinds of different investments. Maybe just a little bit in the stock market, like in index funds. Maybe some of it would be in like something a little bit more secure. It could be in an annuity, but I'm not really that big of a fan of those. But it could just be something as simple as maybe an income fund, or I don't know. I'd have to really research all that more. But I would have at least maybe 4 or 5 investment vehicles or vessels of investment to diversify that portfolio of $1 million. And that would be kind of like my own self-funded retirement account, especially if just in case if I ever didn't get a pension or Social Security totally bottoms out, which is very plausible by the time I get of that age to retire. Then I'll at least have something to fall back. And then between then and then, now and then when I would need it, hopefully that 1 million would maybe even double or triple with, in its overall value. Now let's jump to the other. We got 9 million left. I think I'd take a million of it, and I'm not so sure if this is the best idea, but maybe anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million of it, and go pretty far out. I mean, pretty freaking far. At least 200 to 400 miles, somewhere in that range. It just depends on whatever I found out there. But between 200 to 400 miles from a very large municipal city. And when I mean large, I'm talking about maybe, in my book, $250,000 to $500,000. That would be kind of a threshold. I mean, it's kind of a loose number, but that's quite a few people in my book, at least compared to where I live. So, yeah, I want to be not in the middle of nowhere per se. I'd have to have at least a few places that I can shop that within reason, a half an hour to an hour drive at least. But I think I'd go, and I'm not even sure exactly even where I would be in the United States. You hear a lot about Idaho is kind of a cool place for preppers. You hear a lot of things though. I'm not really sure. I think I'd probably have to just research a lot of this stuff. And heck, maybe even where I'm at is an ideal place. I have to, I have an idea that, it's not a bad place, but I think I wouldn't want to be on the coast or maybe I would. But anyways, the whole idea of this is that I'd find me a good piece of land that is at least, there's distance between other people, even maybe some neighbors. I mean, within reason. So now in terms of the property size, I think I'd want at least several hundred acres. And I mean, the big money part of it wouldn't be even so much just for the land. It would probably be to fence it all in and maybe have some type of monitoring system just to kind of, watch over in some general way. Now on this property, I would definitely build me a little house and maybe have a few buildings scattered on the property. you know, maybe even have my own bug out location on the back of the property or something. Because if I had this much acreage, maybe I could have my own bug out location. But then I'd also have maybe a secondary property, just a very small, it could even just be maybe a half a dozen acres or so, or maybe under 50 acres, just somewhere else that's just very low key. And that could actually be in the boonies, like way, way out there. And then there I'd have like a very small little cabin. So that's basically what I want to do with my $1 million there. So now we're down to 8 million. And now with the, I take probably $1 million of that, of the 8 million left, and buy basically just large amounts of food and water supplies, and distribute that on my bug out location and in my property, in various locations. And so that would be there. And then I take, so we got 7 million left. That's a lot of money. I think I take a million of that 7 million, and I probably maybe start helping out people that I knew. Over time, I mean, over a long period of time, it'd be maybe just like I allocate myself maybe just 50,000 a year or something until I run out with that $1 million. But it'd be like a slow process to help people out, just in the community, and then take another $1 million. So we're down to 6 million now. That 6 million, I think I would go ahead and help families out, maybe pay off their houses or upgrade vehicles, or if they need preps, I start getting preps for them, and at least educate them about what's going on in the world. And then the remaining money, I think I just put it in a holding account, because I haven't even got that far yet, as you can imagine. I just haven't been able to think about this far, but I put it in an account, and it would be a very conservative account, maybe even in an investment, or part of it in an investment that's super uber conservative, and then just pull from that slowly over time. And may do things to that could help others, of course. Or if there's any other additional needs that I can't foresee right now, then there you go. But and also it may be for charities too. I may have to have some of that allocated to go charities, maybe the NRA, various hospital groups, St. Jude Foundation, just various things. Maybe even like political action groups against like GMO foods, and I mean, there could be a lot of things, and there's a lot of good groups and a lot of good things to go for to promote. So basically, that's just kind of a really rough outline, but you can tell I didn't do like a whole bunch of work there, but it is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. And I mean, there's a lot of people who would say, oh, if I had that much money, I'd take half of it and buy a whole, armory, I'd just build a vault in the back of my house, and I'd have probably every modern gun and several million rounds of ammunition. And that would be your thing. But I think that for the most part, I still don't think I'd hire a bodyguard or, be any more suspicious or paranoid or anything than I already am about personal safety. So with that, though, I just wanted to this is just a fun video. I just kind of was thinking about it. I was like, man, I have to do a video, just at least bring it up, because there's a lot of people who do talk about it. I don't really see like a crap load of videos. I haven't really even searched on this, but on YouTube talking about if they won the lottery, what would they get? But let's just say this is kind of like that in a way. But this is going to be if you won the lottery, though, for example, for preppers. So if you're into prepping, what kind of things, maybe even more specifically, would you prep for than what I talked about? Would you get a little bit more heavy in one category more than another? Would you just go all in on the food and just get like 10, 15, 30-year supply of food? I think that would be unbelievable to have. Can you imagine having 30 years of food? Like if you didn't want to go to the grocery store for 30 years, you could just say, nah, I'm not going to go. I mean, that is something else. So, that is interesting. Would you have a bodyguard? Would you, would you have the largest collection in the world of backpacks? Or would you have every known fire starter ever invented in the history of humanity? I mean, what would you get kind of into, like maybe blades or, so anyways, this is very open-ended. I know some people are going to say, well, I'd had probably 5 or 6 properties and all these bug out locations, which is cool. And they would probably definitely bring up vehicles, which is a real big one. I personally am not so big into vehicles. You need one to get around, but I've already kind of went through that phase in my life. In my younger years, I went through the whole vehicle craze thing. But I think I would agree that I would definitely get me a nicer vehicle, maybe an off-road vehicle. and maybe even have a couple of vehicles so that I can have an off-road maybe, and then maybe just a cruising vehicle, you know, when I'm just going around town, I'm visiting friends or family. But besides that, though, I wouldn't invest in like a big yacht or a big plane or my own jetliner. No, I just wouldn't do any of that. In fact, I don't think I'd even have enough money to buy some of that stuff. But so anyways, thanks again for sticking into this video. The very few people who even lasted this video. Thanks a lot. Leave some comments though. I love to get your comments. Just plow some comments down there and just stack them up high so that I can so we can have a little conversation here. And as always, take care.